A neglectful father and a malicious stepmother tried to kick me out of my own house to give it to my spoiled, pregnant stepsister because her boyfriend left her, and she has nothing. I'm a 34-year-old man, and my 62-year-old father, who has always been stingy, selfish, and barely present in my life, recently found out how much I earn. Surprisingly, he decided to evict me from my own house under the guise of family values. My 29-year-old stepsister, the daddy's little princess, who supposedly never does anything wrong, somehow ended up pregnant. With her lifestyle, working as an escort and running an OnlyFans account, she obviously faced challenges finding housing. Now my father wants to help her, and I seem to be the tool for that. Apparently, I'm expected to hand over my house and hard-earned money because of her poor life choices. My father has repeatedly rejected me as his son, but since learning about my new house, job, and, astonishingly, my income, he's been much more active in reminding me of our family bond. While I'm not thrilled about his constant reminders, he's also been trying to improve my relationship with his wife and her daughter. Sure, Ash, short for Ashlyn, my half-sister, is also his daughter, but we were so distant from a young age that I never got a chance to build any relationship with her. Thank goodness, because I'd only be disappointed. To clarify, I'm sharing this here just to vent. I have my own opinions, thoughts, and feelings, and they might not please everyone. You might disagree with them, but these are my emotions, and I have no one else to share them with. Now, let me introduce you to Ash, my half-sister. She's 5 years younger than me and the pride and joy of my father, who is clearly deluded because this woman does nothing but work as an escort, engage in casual relationships, and run an unsuccessful OnlyFans account. Yet, he still calls her his pride. Yes, you heard that right. I think he just doesn't know the truth. And who's going to tell him? Not me. I'm not the most conservative person, but I have moral standards. I prefer to get to know women first. Sometimes there's a spark, and sometimes there are challenges like distance or scheduling conflicts. In other cases, we just don't fully connect. I try to avoid random flings because I believe in waiting for the one. A large number of past partners in a woman turns me off. I don't understand why some men brag about their conquests as if it's a badge of honor. It's revolting. My half-sister, unfortunately, is the complete opposite of me in her views. She's probably lost count of her sexual partners. Moreover, she works as an escort, which not only repels me but also concerns me about how dangerous that line of work can be. Some men can act strangely toward women in that field. I don't understand how anyone could consider this a normal job. On top of that, she posts inappropriate videos and photos on OnlyFans, trying to earn money from it but with little success. Maybe she just doesn't know how to attract an audience, but for some reason, her attempts fail. How do I know all this? Here's an awkward story. A friend of mine told me about it. He said that after they had a few drinks together, Ash messaged him, suggesting they have some fun. Hearing this, I immediately felt irritated because this guy was dating my sister at the time. But he explained that he didn't know she was my sister back then. I don't know if he was telling the truth, but he claimed she sent him a link to her page, which he then showed me. Ash is constantly broke and asks my dad for money, so I assume things aren't going well for her. I couldn't bring myself to confront her directly, and never told my father about it. Once, I saw her talking on the phone before getting into a car with an older man who gave her flowers, and they drove off. She would sneak back home through the window at odd hours, which I noticed during my college breaks. I don't know if she still does it, but I don't want to be involved. I have a respectable job and am finally happy with my life. I didn't live with my new family for long because my father sent me away at every opportunity, but I know Ash well enough to say she takes after her mother, Maris, now 58, Maris used to see herself as every man's dream when she worked as a flight attendant and was quite attracted to people like my father. Now she's a typical Botox Karen, if you know what I mean. She has claw-like hands with ridiculously long nails and runs a local daycare center. It's strange how parents trust their kids with someone who looks like Edward Scissorhands. She could accidentally poke someone's eye out with her nails. She's very intrusive, has opinions on everything, and loves creating drama in other people's lives. Her voice is grating, and there's more plastic in her body than in the ocean. She has a terrible influence on my father. I think she's the reason he so easily decided to send me to boarding school when I was 8. She didn't want to raise a child that wasn't hers. Now let me tell you about my father. Honestly, he's the main problem in this story. He believes everything he does is justified, even when it's not, because he's lived a long life and thinks he knows best. My father says he regrets having me because I'm nothing like him. Thank God for that. My mother was a strong woman who knew her priorities and took good care of my father. But they grew apart. She often told me my father wasn't a bad person, just different, and that no matter what, he'd always be my father, and I should never forget that. She didn't want to turn me against him. I'm sure he was as unbearable for her as he is for me now. They divorced when I was 4. 2 months after the divorce, my father married Maris. Ash was born when I was 5, and then my mother died in a car accident. I've never been able to forget that. Started getting attention from older men. It initially made her feel uncomfortable. However, Maris encouraged her to use what she has to her advantage and not waste time on unprofitable hobbies like painting. Over time, Ash became involved in escort work, which eventually led to her running an OnlyFans account to make ends meet. She admitted to me that this lifestyle wasn't something she wanted but felt trapped because of her financial struggles and lack of support from anyone else. Ash told me she felt ashamed and was genuinely trying to turn her life around, especially now that she was expecting a child. She didn't want to raise her baby in the same toxic environment she grew up in. For the first time, I saw her as someone vulnerable rather than arrogant and dismissive. Then she admitted why she wanted to meet me. She wasn't asking for my house, but needed financial assistance to move out of our father's house and start over. She apologized for how she and Maris behaved during the incident with my belongings and admitted it was Maris who orchestrated the whole thing, convincing her to go along with it. While I appreciated her apology, I was still wary. I told her I needed time to process everything before deciding if and how I could help her. She nodded and left without pressing me further. Update 2. It's been another week, and after much thought, I decided to help Ash, but with boundaries. I offered her financial support to find a place of her own, under the condition that she seeks therapy and career counseling. I also made it clear that my house was off limits, and that my priority was protecting the life I worked so hard to build. Ash agreed and seemed genuinely grateful. My relationship with her is far from perfect, but I feel like we're taking a step toward mutual understanding. As for my father and Maris, I've distanced myself from them completely. I can't change them or their toxic ways, and I refuse to let them manipulate me anymore. For now, I'm focusing on maintaining the stability and peace I've worked so hard to achieve. It feels liberating to finally set boundaries and stand up for myself. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts and advice. It really helped me gain clarity during a tough time. She told Maris about this, and Maris replied that it was even better because older men know how to manage money, and as Maris claimed, they are the only ones who have money in the first place. Ash was only 19 at the time, and Maris told her that college wouldn't bring her a comfortable life. Ash was young, and many were willing to pay for that. Ash decided she wanted to become a model. She tried contacting numerous modeling agencies, but none showed interest. Then she met a man in his 40s who claimed he could help her get a job. He took her to parties, bought her expensive clothes and jewelry for events, and she was happy until she discovered what her first job entailed. It turned out she was supposed to spend time with a man in exchange for a modeling gig. She thought it would just be dinner, but it ended up being an entire night, and she went through with it. Ash did get a small modeling job, a photo shoot for a minor brand, but that was it. Several other men took advantage of her while she hoped for more modeling work, only to be told each time that she wasn't suitable. Soon, she learned that the man arranging these meetings was actually exploiting her for his own profit. Fearing for her safety, she didn't resist and told him she wanted to quit modeling and was fine with any low-paying job instead. Fortunately, he let her go without issues. Ash then tried working as a waitress in bars, but it turned out to be grueling work. That's what it means to earn honest money. However, Maris criticized her for choosing such a job, saying that women are the ornaments of this world, and their sole task is to shine and smile like exhibits. Maris insisted that Ash should be under proper care, and so Ash started going out with men for dinner and charging them for it. She explained that many lonely men just wanted someone to talk to. However, even this ended up attracting stalkers and obsessive men who felt she owed them more because they had paid. Ash decided that creating the illusion of an emotional connection with men caused more problems than simply sleeping with them, so she became an escort. Things were going well until a friend told her about OnlyFans. Ash tried it but failed because she wasn't good with the camera, couldn't edit her content properly, and wasn't sociable enough. It turned out to be a labor-intensive process, so she quit. Later, Ash met her boyfriend while working at a cafe. She liked him, but he was overly possessive and didn't trust her, which was somewhat justified because she was still working as an escort and running an OnlyFans account without telling him. Eventually, she stopped that lifestyle entirely, and her boyfriend began supporting her with his modest earnings. This arrangement suited Ash, but Maris wasn't happy about it. Then Ash became pregnant, and her boyfriend found out everything. She confessed that there were a few men who could potentially be the father of her child. These men were all contributing money to support her and the baby. One even proposed to her, but she knew they were only doing this because they each believed they were the only one in her life, which was absurd considering they knew about her work as an escort. She didn't tell them directly about her past. These funds were covering her bills, and would likely help with the baby as well. Ash decided to tell me all this because she couldn't tell our father. He believed she just dabbled in modeling, and had one boyfriend who treated her poorly and left her. Maris knows most of the story, and suggests that Ash marry the man who proposed to her, and convince him that he's the baby's father. However, Ash doesn't know how to tell this to our father. Besides, she doesn't want to marry this man because he's creepy and old, nor does she want to deceive anyone. I asked her what kind of help she needed from me specifically. She said financial support would be enough, and she also wanted me to reconcile with our father. Ash believed I should agree to my father's demand to move out temporarily, and return later once things settled down. I politely declined her proposal, stating I could only help with money, but wasn't willing to leave my house. She called me selfish, claiming she opened up her entire life to me, yet I didn't even show basic decency to help her. She declared that our father was right about me, and that I deserved to be sent to boarding school instead of living with the family. Then she stormed off. I don't think my reaction was too harsh. But is it selfish? What do you think about her version of events? Does it justify her demands? Should I trust her? I feel like she was telling the truth, but does that mean I should do what she's asking? Let me know your thoughts.